Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Black and Gold Report, a show all about UNC Pembroke athletics, presented by Pepsi. I'm Jenna Davison, and today on the show we're going to be talking about the spring football signees with head football coach Shane Richardson, and on the second half of the show we're going to be talking about the tennis season with head coach Robin Langley, as well as the track and field season with head coach Dr. Peter Ormsby. But first, we're joined by Coach Richardson. Welcome back to the show, Coach.
Thanks for having me again.
Let's get right into reviewing a much heralded recruiting class for the Braves. UNCP received national letters of intent from 21 high school seniors and 2 transfers. The class covers 8 different positions, 5 offensive linemen, 4 each at defensive line, running back, and defensive back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, a linebacker, and a kicker. Let's get started by just hearing your thoughts on your second signing class as head coach at UNCP.
Well, we're very excited about the guys that we were able to sign. Felt like a lot of those guys were guys that really had other options and they had other opportunities, and a lot of them came down to the wire where we really had to recruit them hard and stay after them. And I think that class, it speaks volumes to just their commitment to UNCP and the vision that our coaching staff was able to portray, and they bought into that and they saw that, and so going into this recruiting season, you know, there's some speculation as to you have a little bit of a tough fall season that we had, and you don't know how that's going to shake out, but these guys were able to really understand that UNCP has a great product to sell, and our program is going in the right direction, and a lot of guys, I think, really expressed that, and we were able to hold on to those guys, and so we're really looking forward to an explosive recruiting class is how I would describe it.
You had some needs overall the field, but what were your primary targets during this recruiting season?
We wanted to focus on our offensive line, and so what that meant was we wanted to gain a lot of depth there. We wanted to really add some size up front and some really good players that were able to come in and maybe not necessarily compete right away, but at least give us some depth. But we did feel like the guys that we were able to sign at that position, there's a couple of them that might have an opportunity to play early. And so offensive line was certainly a need for us. The DB position also, defensive backs, we felt like wanted to make sure we added some depth there as well. Graduated about 4 seniors actually, 3 starters. And so we wanted to get some guys in the mix that potentially are able to work into the rotation a little bit early at that position. With the skill positions, it's a little bit easier to work guys into the mix as opposed to up front, just because of the physical differences that it takes. And so DB position, feel like those guys will be able to have an opportunity to come in and play. And then defensive line, it happened to be where we were able to sign 4 guys. And I think just in general, up front, offensive and defensive lines, you just never can have enough good big bodies there, and so we're able to find 4 guys up front on the defensive line that we feel really good about also.
9 of your newcomers hail from either Robeson, Scotland, or Cumberland County. What kind of emphasis is placed on your program to recruit locally?
A great emphasis, for sure, and what we want to do is we want to basically draw a line of about an hour to an hour 15 minutes outside of where UNCP is located around the state of North Carolina. And what we want to do is we want to be able to blanket every single school within that local region, is what we call it. And so that's our local layer. And so we want to be able to get there within a day's drive, you know, and get a guy to be able to come down to a game on a Saturday. We want to be able to go see them on a Friday night. And so we spend an awful lot of time with those kids in particular, just because of the proximity that they're at. So it's good to see that it paid off in the sense of getting 9 guys out of the 21 high school guys from those local schools.
UNCP has done a phenomenal job of stockpiling talent over the last 5 to 6 years, and redshirt freshmen have eventually played a big role in the success of this program. Who are some of the guys, if any, in the class that have a chance to come in and play significant time as freshmen?
Well, I think let's go back to offensive line. I already talked about a couple of those guys there in the sense of, I think Joe Legg out of Jack Britt High School and Daniel Butler out of Hopewell High School. Those two guys on the offensive line, those guys potentially have as good a chance as any to come in and play right away. And so those guys with their size, with their speed, their strength, they probably can match up front. Of course, we'll have to determine that once camp starts, but offensive line-wise, I think those two guys have as good a chance of it as any. Running back-wise, Rem from East Wake, the running back that we signed, big kid, 5'11", 210, 215, and can move very well, is a very mature kid, and he really demonstrated that he's got some qualities that can maybe help him to step into a position to play right away as well on the offensive side of the ball. Trey Hales, the receiver from Jack Britt, he's a very polished receiver, tall, long kid. He'll need to put some weight on, but he may have a chance to work in the mix there. We've got some bodies at receiver, and so you just never know how that depth is going to shake out. But as far as a talent and a skill level, he's got all the tools that all those other guys have, and so it'll just depend on him catching up to speed, how quickly he's able to do that. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I would say that probably the two cornerbacks have as good a chance as any. Obviously, the transfer, Matt Quick, that we signed, he'll have an opportunity to come and play right away. But then also Jonas Johnson from Jack Britt and then Sean Everett from Richmond County, those two guys will have an opportunity just because we need some depth right away, and those two guys have demonstrated that they're very athletic and they're able to play that position very well. Defensive line, don't know that those guys will step right in. I think those guys have got to develop a little bit more, but again, they're big bodies, and sometimes you just never can have enough big bodies, and so depth becomes an issue very quickly, and so you never know, some of those guys might have to step in there at that position. But there are a lot of guys in this class that have the potential to step up and play early in their career.
We're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to continue talking to Coach Richardson about his football signees, so stay tuned.